Everyday leadership practices. Today I'm reflecting on a leadership interview I conducted and connecting it to a book that I recently read called Everyday People and Extraordinary Leadership by James Causes and Barry Posner. As I reflect on using their leadership framework to process what stood out to me and how the interview reshaped my understanding of leadership. This reflection is not a summary about the interview, but it's more about what stayed with me after the conversation ended and why it mattered. The interview was with Timothy Dudley Jr., and what immediately stood out to me was not his title or authority, but how grounded his leadership is. There was no posturing, no need to assert control, and no emphasis on status. Instead, this leadership showed up on how he spoke about responsibility, preparation, and the people that he serves in the community. That conversation forced me to think more honestly about what leadership looks like when it's tested, not when the conditions are comfortable. One of the clearest lessons in the interview is that leadership is lived long before it's ever needed. Dudley emphasized preparation, consistency, and accountability. He doesn't wait for a crisis to decide how to lead. He decides that long before the pressure ever even arrives. Maybe that came from his time in the military. That aligns with Causes and Posner's argument that leadership is not a posture but a pattern of behavior. Dudley models the way through discipline and reliability. His leadership's not loud, it's rooted in humility, and it's dependable. People follow him because they know where he stands and what they can expect from him, which challenged me personally. It reminded me that credibility is not built on the dramatic moments, but how well you are able to move and what you do when nobody is watching. Integrity. Another strong takeaway from the interview was Dudley's intentional approach to empowering others. He spoke openly about trust, delegation, and ensuring that his team's capable of operating when he's not around. This reflects the core argument of Everyday People and Extraordinary Leadership from Causes and Posner, making it clear that extraordinary leadership does not come from exceptional personalities. It comes from regular people like you and me. It comes from leaders who believe that they're capable and people are worth investing in. That forced me to examine my own leadership habits. Am I developing people or am I creating dependence on myself, which is a common problem amongst leaders today? Dudley's example reinforced that real leadership multiplies. It does not bottleneck. When an organization cannot function without a certain individual, that's not strength, that's fragility. One of the most impactful moments in the interview was Dudley's emphasis on emotional intelligence. He spoke about staying calm, listening carefully, and making decisions rooted in clarity rather than fear, which is integral in his line of work. That kind of leadership sets the emotional tone for everyone I see. It connects directly to Causes and Posner's idea of encouraging the heart, not just through affirmations, but through steadiness. When leaders remain grounded, teams function. When leaders react emotionally, instability spreads quickly. It's like a plague. From a Christian perspective, this carries moral weight. Leadership is stewardship. And scripture consistently reminds us that authority is not neutral. It shapes people. Dudley's approach reflects that understanding on how leaders carry pressure directly and affects the well-being of those that they lead. This interview wasn't about anything personal. It actually reshaped how I view and lead my own journey through leadership. It clarified that I want my leadership to be consistent, people-centered, and rooted in responsibility rather than recognition and not self-promotion. That's a common problem in today's leadership. I do not want to lead from reaction or ego. I want to lead from a preparation and a conviction, a place rooted in humility. Dudley demonstrated that leadership often looks quiet. It looks like discipline. It seems like doing the right thing repeatedly, even if it means being unnoticed. Sometimes it's putting other people in the spotlight and elevating them instead of yourself. That aligns closely with both Causes and Posner's leadership model and a biblical understanding of stewardship. Leadership is not about being seen, it's about being faithful with what you have been entrusted. In the end, the interview did not just teach me about leadership, it refined my standards for it. Dudley's real-world example, combined with the principles in Everyday People, Extraordinary Leadership, reinforced a simple truth. Leadership that lasts is built on integrity, trust, and consistency. It shows up every day, not just when the spotlight is on it, and it's rooted, again, in humility. That's the key. And my takeaway from the interview and from the book is that this is the kind of leader that I want to be, rooted in humility, integrity and following a pattern that brings other people higher, even if it doesn't self-promote, but it promotes other people to be able to go higher. And a great leader is willing to bring others higher, even if it means that they surpass where you're at in themselves. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video.